Hello, everybody. Welcome to Relentless and Unstoppable. Today, we're talking about dealing with bullying, and today we have my co-host Doug Kenny on the show with me, and we also have Mezzy, Mary, Belle, and Sherry. Welcome, guests, and welcome, Doug.
Hey guys, how you all doing?
Thanks. Awesome.
Great to hear. So for everyone who hasn't followed Relentless yet, this is an anti-bullying panel discussion. And basically, we're going to all explain our histories of being bullied and our stand against it. So, Brendan, where are you at?
I'm in Geelong today, so that's in Victoria, Australia, on the coast. Nice spot. Yeah.
Great to hear. You're at a car event at the moment?
Yes, yeah. It's called the Geelong Revival, yeah. Has a lot of different sorts of cars, and yeah, been good.
Pretty cool. So everybody, let's have you all explain who you are and where you come from and what you do for a living. Starting with you, Belle.
Hi, my name is Belle. I reside in Melbourne, Australia. I'm originally from Western Australia. And yeah, what would you like to know, Doug?
What do you do for a living?
I'm an actor, and when I'm not doing that, I'm in traffic management.
Pretty cool. Mezzy.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Mezzy Atwood. I'm from Melbourne, Victoria, and I am executive producer at Marigold Productions. I'm currently working on the movie Delora.
Great to hear. Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Melbourne, but I have lived all over Australia.
Pretty cool. Mary Jackson.
Hi, yes. Oh, this is so exciting. We have folks from all over the globe with us tonight, don't we? It's pretty cool. I live near Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm originally from Orlando, Florida, but migrated up here. Still a Floridian in my heart and soul. Miss the sun every day, but I am a mom and a wife, and I'm also an author. And I'm an advocate for special needs and disabilities, as well as a live streamer and educator.
Cool. Sherry.
Hi, everybody. Sherry Leopold. I am from Springfield, Illinois in the United States, and I help people stand up and stand out as that unrepeatable miracle that they are. I am also a 25-year veteran network marketer, and I love the industry and I love serving people, and that's my story.
Looks like that's everyone. So I'm Doug Kenny. I'm originally from Estes Park, Colorado. I'm now living in Arizona. And this all started because I connected with Andy McPhee, who is coaching both me and Brendan. And our mentorship with Andy transformed both of our lives for the better. Wouldn't you say, Brendan?
Yes, definitely. So like helped me, yeah, joining the podcast and all that. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Glad to hear that. So, Brendan, ask everybody, starting with someone you pick, about their bullying experiences and what they did to overcome it and their stand for it, against it, their stand against bullying.
Okay, so first on my screen is Mezzy. How have you grown over your bullies? Like, yeah, or how have you dealt with bullies in the past and bullying in general?
So for me, I was bullied. I don't remember ever not being bullied, both at school and at home by my family. I learned to fight for myself. I learned that if no one else was going to stand up for me, I had to stand up for myself. But I'm not a nasty person and I don't like being nasty to other people. So I had to learn how to kill them with kindness and stand up for myself and respect myself without being mean to anyone else. I feel like that was the biggest thing to overcome. And once I learned how to forgive myself for my own shortcomings, because I'm not perfect, and how to forgive them for targeting me, that was probably the hardest thing I had to overcome when it came to bullying. Yeah.
That's tough to hear that you went through that, but good that in some parts you stood your ground, which is a kind of a difficult thing in the whole topic, you know. So,
yeah.
Fire away, Brendan.
I mean, yeah.
Thanks, Mazzy, for that. Next, we have Mary to talk a bit about her experiences with bullies and how she overcome those challenges with bullying.
So, I think all of almost everyone I know had bullying experiences as a child in their childhood. Some of the worst that I remember were in middle school. You couldn't pay me $1 million to go back to middle school, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who agree with me on that because it's a very tough time. And, there was a girl in our school. We went to church together, and it was a small area outside Orlando where I lived at the time. And it was pretty bad what she did to a lot of us. And, we had to do a restraining order and things like that. And it's weird because she tried to connect with me on Facebook a couple of years back, and it just kind of like it brought all that back up for me, and it was like I don't want to talk to that person, even though I had forgiven her for what she had done back then. But there were other, I've dealt with bullying as an adult, as a parent, with my children and the special needs community and in the educational system. So I've had to stand up for myself and my children over and over again when I have gotten pushback or not been listened to or told there's nothing wrong, there's nothing going on. So part of, for me, overcoming that has been obviously the forgiveness, but the education of, empowering myself to know what's actually going on, what is the best thing I can do for my child, how can I empower myself as a parent to know what my rights are and to learn how to maneuver through all of that. So I feel like that has really been very significant in my life as an adult, trying to maneuver through. How many times has that happened to us as an adult? Because I think also when you are of a mindset that you have a kind heart or you don't think about being mean and bullying others, we get caught off guard a lot of times by people who do bully. And so we don't always have a comeback for that. We don't always have a words ready to be able to stand up and fight for ourselves. So, it takes some training, and it does take a lot of forgiving.
Definitely. Thank you, Mary, for sharing that with us. And yeah, it does take a lot of self-belief to stand up to bullies as well. So thanks, Mary. Now, next is Belle to talk about her experiences.
All right. Hi, I'm Belle. Well, bullying, a bit like Mezzy, really. Been bullied a lot as a kid, both at school and at home by many people. I think the way that I got through that, and I think I've mentioned this before, is that my father taught me how to fight. So, and carrying that through my 20s and 30s, it's only in the last, say, 10 or 15 years that I've learned to become a bit softer and not so, I wouldn't say passive aggressive, but not so reactive to people when they do say something inappropriate or anything like that, that there are other ways to deal with bullies in that sense. I think bullying in general, it's everyone's problem. It's everyone's problem. It's huge. It's massive. I was in a situation probably about 4 weeks ago, and I myself was being bullied by this person's daughter, who stood by and did absolutely nothing. And I just stood up and walked away. I said, I'm not going to tolerate being bullied by your daughter. And I just walked away. And the mother of this daughter said absolutely nothing at all. And I was horrified. And I thought to myself, this is a parental problem. This is a school problem. It's a massive issue throughout everything, every industry, everything. So, yeah, it really needs to be addressed. But the way that I learned to deal with my bullying, I got a lot of counselling. I've had counselling for about 10, 12 years, and I'm still going through therapy now for different sorts of things, but it still relates to bullying in a kind of way. And I think that's the only way that a person can really get through it. I mean, it's not as easy to forgive and forget. And like, I think it was Mary said that she had a little bit of PTSD, and that person came up on her Facebook, and all that came flooding back, and that's wherein the problem lies. It's like the damage has been done. So I guess as an individual, it's trying to work through those issues to be a better person, not just for yourself but for everybody else, but to also be an advocate, I guess, an advocate. Live by example. I really like that. That really resonates with me. So yeah, I mean, I'm not perfect. I still get a little bit aggressive in my times, but I try and pull my head back really, really fast. It's just years of being tormented. So yeah.
Yeah, and Andy has said before, you can say sorry and do the work needed to repair the damage, but the damage is still there. And and he's told me this in the past. When you repent, it'll give some people the peace that you've repented, but it doesn't mean that they'll talk to you again. Some of them will still be like, well, see ya,
Exactly, Doug. Yeah.
So, that's one thing that we need to be considerate and be careful about when we bully others, because you never know if it scarred them enough that it actually did a lot of damage. Like, I'll just bring this up, and I've not brought this up before. I actually got in trouble years ago for bullying my best friend's younger brother. And what happened was I was playing with my best friend, and I kind of got out of hand and tore apart his Lego set by kicking it in front of his eyes when I was like 5 or 6 years old. And I got in trouble for it, and I didn't realize until years later that it scarred him for life. And, you really got to be careful when you make poor choices like that.
Yeah.
And if I could take that back, and I've said this, if I could take it back, I would. I would never do that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you really got to be careful when you make choices out of emotion like that.
That's right. And it's often a reaction. It's a reaction to a situation. So, and if you can become, like, I'm not just saying you, but people in general become more aware of how a situation is affecting them, and to stop reacting in that way, I think it would, it's helping me. It's self-awareness. It's emotional intelligence, I guess. It's trying to bring it back and being self-aware and not reacting in that situation. It's easier said than done, yes, but it's possible. It's just self-awareness. So yeah.
Yeah. Have you shared yet, Sherry?
No.
Play on words a little bit there. I just realized that now. Feel free to share, Sherry.
So mine is a little bit different, because I come from a little bit different angle, because I wrote a book on self-bullying, what to do when the bully is you. And that's the title of it. And, it's actually probably in large part response to working in the network marketing field and watching especially women just beat themselves up like, I'm just not good at this. I fail at everything I do. I can't make any money. I mean, it's like just over and over and over, just beating themselves up. And, it comes from somewhere, right? And the thing I talk about in the book, and I think it's really relevant here, is that oftentimes we are bullied by somebody else. The reality is that bully is bullying themselves worse than they ever did to you. They're just practicing, they've been practicing on themselves. So they're really good by the time they get to you. And that is an inherent problem with bullying, is that we think really we want to stop the bullying, which is necessary, right? And I completely understand that. But I think we do have to have kindness, as somebody stated, and compassion. That person is in pain because they're bullying themselves. They've been practicing on themselves. And sure as I know my name is Sherry, somebody's been doing it to them. And they're trying to feel big enough to do it to somebody else. And it is a cycle that needs to be broken. And the way to break it is to look inward and to address those things that we have inside. And just like you said, Doug, you're like, oh gosh, I hate that this has happened to me, but yet I did it to somebody else. And that comes to that awareness thing. Again, that's always the first step, is what is it I'm trying to do? I always say there's always a really easy question to ask when you're going to say something like that, or you've said something like that, is, would I say that, whatever I was going to say or what I did say, would I say it to somebody that I love with all my heart? And I usually have you look at yourself, and would you say it to what you say to yourself, would you say it to that person that you adore? And that's the definition of self-bullying. I mean, it's like we do it all day long. Oh, I'm so fat, or I'm so stupid, or I'm always going to be single, or I'm broke, or nobody's going to love me. I mean, like, the list is endless, right? Mm-hmm. But you would never turn to your best friend and say, you're so fat. You just wouldn't do it. And you're like, why? Because I love them and that would hurt them. And I'm like, but you do it to yourself. Yeah. And it's self-deprecating humor sucks, because we laugh. And especially with women, there's a sisterhood around that self-deprecating humor. And it just has to stop. That camaraderie around that has got to stop. That's why it seems like it's okay. And when people say snarky things, which is another form of bullying to other people, it's because they've been surrounded by people who, like, this is okay to talk to one another this way and to talk about ourselves this way. We've normalized this ridiculous type of behavior, and I always say that barometer is, if you wouldn't say it to your mom or your best friend or your kid, then don't be saying it to yourself.